and I'm here from MAG Interactive, a studio in Stockholm. Before we get started, I want to ask you all a question. How many here would like to work with games? Raise your hands. That's all hands. Super. I have the right talk. I'm here to talk to you about From School to Industry, real-world advice from us at MAG. It's going to take about 30-40 minutes. I'm going to have 11 pieces of advice for you guys. Before getting started, who am I? So, as said, my name is Daniel, and I used to study here, 2010 to 2013. So I've been in this room many times. I think like over here was my favorite seat somewhere, so it's a good seat. I studied game design and graphics before moving on to work. My first job was a QA internship at Might and Delight, working with Peter here. Yay! And I did that for a couple of months, and then I also started working with level and game design at Might and Delight. So it was a lot of fun. I stayed there for about a year, and then I got this call from a friend who I studied with here. And he was like, "Hey Daniel, would you like to come down to Korea and work with educational games for kids?" And you don't really say no to that. So I moved down to Seoul for 6 months and worked with design for educational kids apps. After that, we started a studio in Uppsala, so I went back to Sweden again. Stayed there for a few years, doing the same thing. Last year, that studio got shut down and just operates out of Seoul right now. So I had to find a new job. I mean, that's something that happens in the industry. You kind of got to deal with that. But that's when I found MAG, or MAG found me, I suppose. And I started working there as a Unity developer. It's not what I studied, but I suppose that also shows that you can always switch in the future. You're not really locked down to what you do right here. You can always learn new things. So that's my short little journey here, at least. So we're going to move on to MAG Interactive, where I work. How many here have heard of MAG Interactive prior to these days? Like, raise your hands again. That's a few, at least. Good on you, because I had no idea who MAG was when they approached me, so you're well ahead of me. MAG was founded in 2010, and that's mostly casual, free-to-play mobile games. I mean, we have a few down here. We've got like mostly word games. It's got like Russell, which is a word game that first we released, like, I think it's 6 years old by now. We have Quiz Duel, which is a trivia game, Word Brain, another word game, and then 2 newcomers from this year, which is Paint It, which is a hyper-casual game, and then Word Domination, a PvP word game. So that's the kind of stuff we do. And overall, we're 80 employees. We've got a studio in Stockholm, and then a studio in Brighton. So, yeah, pretty mid-size, nice company. I think it's pretty cool. And that was a short introduction to me and to MAG. This is why we're here. Our piece of advice to you guys. After I spoke to Ulf about coming here, I started thinking about what do I want to tell you guys. And I mean, I have my journey and the things that I find important, but I also work with a lot of people that have so much stuff to say as well. So I thought that I would focus on what we have, I mean, our combined kind of knowledge and what we think that you should work with. So I went around the office, sat down with like most of my colleagues. We had great discussions about what I should stand up here and say. So that's what this is going to be. Me and my colleagues, our advice to you. We're going to start with Love. who's a Unity developer at MAG. When I approached him, he was like, tell them to make games. And I'm sure you've, heard this before many times, because you are here to make games, right? Makes sense. But he wants to say that, tell them to make games in school and at home. It's a really competitive industry, and you need every edge you can get. And making games in school only, that's not necessarily going to be enough. So we really got to work for it. And this is something that I wish I would have done more of this when I studied here. Definitely. So if you can, games here and at home. It's going to give you at least 2 benefits. The first one is definitely going to be, it's going to add to your portfolio, like a lot. Because we think that when we look at applicants that want to work with us at MAG, we would much rather see a good portfolio than a nicely written resume. It matters so much more. If we see a good portfolio, we just, okay, come here, come and have a chat. It's impressive. It doesn't matter if you release games, if you made a lot of stuff. That's good. And it's also going to add to your skill set, of course. Not necessarily what you're studying. If you're an artist, maybe you pick up something new. Maybe you start scripting. Maybe you start, marketing. Who knows? That's how I was able to get the job I have today. Because I actually, as you saw in the beginning, I did game design and graphics here. I couldn't code. I started working at Calm Island, did design there, and some visual scripting, but I couldn't code. But I started doing that at home, every night. And I got better over time. And eventually, when the studio got shut down, and MAG approached me, I managed to do their developer test, and yeah, I'm a programmer now. So it definitely helps doing these things, if you got the time, if you got the energy. So that's one thing we think is super important to think about. Here's Fabio, also a Unity developer at MAG. We're going to start off simple a bit longer, so we're going to say start simple. What does Fabio mean about this? Most of you here, you haven't done all that many games. And Fabio, he's done, many games. But it doesn't really matter. We always want to start simple when we do projects. It's so easy to just rush into it and build this whole thing. But that's rarely going to help us. We want to start here. We want to find that fun, simple core. And I know most of the teachers here are probably saying the same thing, or at least I hope they do. Because what matters is that fun thing. And it's difficult to reach that if we start too complex. Also, if you start too complex, we're going to get constraints. We're going to be constrained pretty quickly, and that's no fun. It's good with some constraints in terms of design, but not in code. We don't want to say that, oh no, we can't do that because I implemented this a week ago. That's no fun. So try to start off simple in everything you do. If you can, if you need something complex, steal it. Or not steal per se, but if you have another project, take it from there. Put it in your current project, just use it. Don't bother with going and modify it and stuff like that, just use it. You need a hexagon tile grid system. Good. Or use stuff from Unity Asset Store if you're using Unity. But with your thing, start simple. Because then we can focus on one thing. And that's the player. The user, that's who matters. And that's what Niklas, an artist here, wants to say. Niklas been working with MAG for a couple of years. Before that, he was at King. So he knows what he's talking about. We need to do what the player wants, not what we want. It's not easy, right? I don't think it's easy. So how do we start here? our advice when it comes to designing for the player is definitely always think of yourself as the player. I mean, take that little user hat, put it on your head, and ask questions as the user. And be like, what do I think about this? When I play this as a user, do I like it? Do I don't like it? Why not? And also, when you implement something new, ask yourself, is this improving my experience? Or is there something else out there that I should work on instead? I mean, always look at the different features that you want and focus on what we're going to give the greatest benefit to the users. At MAG, we also do more to be able to determine who our players are. I mean, we work with personas. Have you guys worked with personas here in any way? Okay. Personas is, in short, we make up like a fictional character that represents a piece of our target audience. So for one of our word games, perhaps we make up a character which is Sandra, 35. She's got 2 kids, and she plays games on the bus on her way to work. She plays 4 times a day, maybe 3 minutes a time. Okay, now we have a user to focus on. So when we think of the players, we look at that, because then we know we need to make all our sessions pretty short. They need to be able to play through really quickly. We reach this conclusion, or we reach this persona by looking at the market. We look at the other games. We see what other companies are doing, and we see what kind of players are playing those games. And we do targeted tests on Facebook. Facebook is a great tool. So we have like advertisement on Facebook for our things, and we can actually see which kind of users click on these ads. That's how we reach this, who our players are, and we can design further towards those. That's something that's kind of difficult to do while we're here, but it's really good to know that there's a huge process behind this, how we find our users. But you can start about always think about who your users are. Then test early. We try to test super early. This summer, I started a small project, and it took about a week to build it. That was a bit stressful, actually. But it took a week, and then we just pushed it up to Google Play Store and just tested it. And people liked it. We got a lot of good reviews. So then we knew that people want this, and we could continue building on it. We had the correct persona in mind. So if you can, test early and see if you're on the right track. Otherwise, you might have to pivot to who you're designing the game for. So design for your target audience. You got another artist. Here's Juan. Juan's I've been working with him for a year now. He's on the team I'm on. And his advice here is a bit more towards what you can do here in school. So learn the fundamentals. We need to really focus on learning, these core skills that we are taught here in order to build our skills to reach up there. Otherwise it's going to be a bit shaky, and that's no good. Might sound a bit vague, so I got some examples for you. For artists, we could say that, color theory and perspective and all those things that you learn in the beginning on your 2D classes, super valuable. It's going to come back to you. If you work at 3D, it's going to come back to you. So try to really learn it. And don't cheat. I know from personal experience, I did art my first year here, that, it's much easier to do 3D here and then just draw the perspective and I'm done with my 2D course. That's cheating. So try to avoid that when you learn. If you have work to do, if you have an assignment and stuff like that, sure, cheat all you want, but not when you're learning. You need to know these things by heart. So try to think about that. For programmers, it doesn't matter which language you're in or which engine you're sitting with. There's always best practices everywhere, and that's a super good start. When you pick up something new, look into that. How should you work with the tools you have? I mean, for designers, what makes the game tick? I mean, we have all the design classes here. So how does a game work? What makes the player want to play it? And also, scripting. I would like to tell all designers, if anyone here want to be a designer, learn scripting. It made my life so much easier. So if that's your goal, try to pick up something. I don't care what it is. I would recommend C# and Unity, of course, but that's just me. Also, some cross-discipline knowledge is good. So programmers, learn some Photoshop. Artists, learn some Unity. Like Peter, he's awesome. He's a tech artist, so he knows what I'm talking about. Yes. Good. So try to learn all you can here. It's going to help you a lot. Here's another Daniel. Not me, though. This is CEO Daniel. He used to be a developer, but he's been CEO at Mag since he started all those years ago. So he's got a bit of another perspective. He wants us to consume everything. I mean, games and articles, podcasts, talks, yeah, blog posts, all there is. Because knowing something about everything, or no, wait, I got confused now. Knowing something about everything, yes, I was right, goes a long way. Because, I mean, we can really talk to each other in a much better way if we do that. There's at least 4 things that is going to help you with if you actually try to learn a little bit everything. And that is, you can make games based on other people's lessons. You don't have to make their mistakes. You can communicate easily across disciplines. And that ties back to learning the fundamentals of what your peers are doing. You can talk in a different way. Helps a lot. Also, we can communicate using references. I mean, if I want the movement system in a game, I can say, oh, you know that how it works in Battlelands on mobile? I want that system. Okay, someone can just Google Battlelands and they know what I'm talking about. I don't have to explain it. It saves me quite a amount of time. And lastly, we can make valid assumptions on issues we find. Perhaps I have an issue in Unity with the animator, and I'm like, oh wait, in Unity 2017.2, there was this thing with the animator, it was something. And then come back and look at that, because I read it like a year ago. So it's good to consume everything. And also things that are not within your discipline. Read it all. Before you go to bed, when you wake up, over coffee, I don't know, whenever. If I'm going to give you 2 things that I think you should look at least to start off, in terms of like a blog, it would be like Deconstructor of Fun. They got really good blog posts. And they also have this podcast with this week in games. This is something I look at all the time when they release something new. And then, I mean, go ahead and find what else is out there. There's a lot of stuff. So if you're not already doing this, you should start. Don't dismiss casual free-to-play. It's from Malin, marketing manager. I did not think I was going to do casual free-to-play when I started here. Not at all. We're going to do raise of hands again, see if you're all with me. How many play mobile games? Like 1 time a day maybe, or once a week? Do you ever play mobile games? There's a few hands here. Okay, maybe half. How many of all of you would like to work with mobile games? It's about the same. That's awesome. Super. This is not always the case, though. People don't always think that working with mobile games is fun. And maybe it feels a little bit, I don't know, evil. That's what you get a lot when you talk to people not in the mobile games industry. So I'm super happy there's people that think like, okay, I could fix myself working with this. Cool. Because when we say this, we want to say that it is, I mean, to me, I'm really enjoying my job. I love it. So I want more people to experience that. And also, when we do this, it doesn't feel like you're doing something bad or evil or something like that, because we do need to care about all our players. I mean, we're competing against so many studios that are releasing games that costs nothing, that people can just download and play. Those are the people that we're competing with. Because of that, we really need to think about our player experience and make it such a good experience that they want to spend several days with us and not our competitors. And if you look at, if you were to see it from a perspective of trying to get people to pay something in your game, there's so few people actually doing that. I think it's less than 1% of our user base in one game that actually pays a lot of money. The rest are just there investing time. So there's a very small percentage that actually pays for the all of the users. Then we have ads, of course. But we can't push all the ads in the world because people are going to stop playing us and go somewhere else. So when we do this, we always try to think about, okay, what do the users want? And just find that balance of what they want to invest in a game, whether it be money or time, and just make that work. And there's a massive audience here. If I'm going to make some examples from MAG, on all our games, we have like 250, we have more than 250 million downloads on all our games. That's quite a few users. And every month, I think there's more than 15 million people playing our games. So to me, it's super exciting to know that I can make something in a game that a lot of people will enjoy. That's why I'm there. I want them to experience something I've made. And on the hyper-casual game we released this summer, we got like 5 million downloads in 1 month. That's pretty cool. I wish I made that game. Wasn't me though, but someone else did it at the company. But yeah. But it's not easy. I don't want to stand here and make it sound like it's easy though, because we got this whole marketing and user acquisition machine behind us helping out. But it can be super fun and super rewarding to work with mobile. Okay. We got a game designer at MAG, Matthew. This, however, might be a bit of an unpopular opinion for some. First job is difficult to get. Take what you can and aim to transfer role and company later. We want to say that experience matters. Not necessarily the experience within the field that you want to work with, but if you've made games, that experience matters. Matthew here, he started off as a 3D artist. He wanted to be a designer, but he couldn't, because no one would hire a designer fresh out of school. So he started with 3D. And then he got into game design. I said for me, I started with QA internship. Then I got the chance to do design as well. And that worked. So that's how we got to do those things. But it's definitely not easy to do that. It requires work. And if you're hired or have an internship or something for a role, that's the thing you definitely first need to make sure that you do. For me, when I did QA, I did my tasks. I had to do my tasks. Otherwise, why would they keep me around? So I did that. And in my case, I was like, oh, do you have some level design tasks you need help with? And Andreas, who was like the level designer, was like, yeah, I got a lot on my plate. And he was like, do this. And I got to do some level design. I showed what I could do, and I got to do more. So you can always try to push a little bit towards what you want to do while also maintaining your current tasks. But that's about, you need to feel the company a little bit, what is okay and what is not okay. So it's, don't overstep boundaries, but don't be afraid to push it a little bit. Yeah. Be somewhere in the middle there. But don't go from here and necessarily think that I'm going to do this no matter what, because you might have to go a different path. Something worth thinking about. This is Amanda. She's a recruiter at MAG. When you're done here, you're probably going to talk to a lot of Amandas, to a lot of recruiters. And as a recruiter, she will just show your passion. When someone applies, she would like to feel this. We want people who want to make games, that really shows it, and people that wants to work with the kinds of games that we do. We reject a lot of applicants because of this. We get something and we're like, we don't feel it. We don't feel that you want to be here or that you want to do these kind of games. Then we have to move on with someone else. We would much rather talk to a passionate junior developer or artist or whatever than a senior one who's more, what can you do for me? All the time. So be passionate about what you're doing. Because we can teach skills, but we can't really teach passion in the same way. And while you're at it, also be friendly and professional with everything you do and when you interact with people. Because you might not have the skill set that we're looking for right now, but you have the passion and you're cool and friendly and we like you. Then in a year, maybe you know more and you're the person we're looking for. If you didn't close that door, maybe we can talk then and help each other out. And this also applies to the resume. That's not an easy one, getting that through in text, but it is possible. So always work towards this in everything you do. This is what we want to see. Okay, number 9. That's for me. That's actually me up there. Yeah, you see the resemblance, right? That was actually from when I was studying here and I did a musical. So super pretty, best picture ever taken. Anyway, I want to say build your network and please add me to LinkedIn. Because the more people you know, the greater chance is that you're going to get your first job or your second job and all of those jobs. You need to know people. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm here to talk to, I hope that you guys will be my future colleagues. So that's why I'm here. And I think you should treat me, and the other alumni here the same way, as future colleagues. So don't be afraid to talk to us. Maybe one of you will help me get a job in the future. Or the other way around. Because, as I said in the beginning, my second job I got from a friend who I studied with here. And I've helped a couple of people get their first job because I liked them and I knew what they could do. So, something you guys should do every day is interact with each other. Just network. Because maybe you over there will help this person get a job. Who knows? Networking is super important. Amanda, our recruiter, she wanted me to tell you to dare to ask people out for a coffee and discuss games. Now, what she wanted is that she wanted to say that people, in general, are a bit afraid to reach out and talk to people, other people that work in the industry. But most people are super friendly. So if you're interested in a company or something, you can always ask, do you want to have a coffee? Discuss MAG. Or discuss, I don't know, Star Stable. Or Mind the Light, who knows? Don't be afraid to ask people to have a chat, because people are friendly. And with this I also say, always come and talk to me later on. That would be super cool. Let's get rid of that picture. Here's most of us at MAG. And I want to show that working with games is a team effort. I mean, that's why I did a presentation like this. I want to show that we're a lot of people doing this together. So don't think of yourself as working with games alone. Try to work in teams. If you make games at home, try to find out someone to make games with. We want to have people that have some experience working with other people doing games. And while you're at it, there's a lot of other disciplines within the game industry that we don't do here. I mean, we have marketing, user acquisition, we have content, ads, and data, and perhaps learn something about what they do. That's about consuming everything, because we need each other. That was a quick one. We're going to make a quick summary. We're almost done. We said, make games at home and in school, preferably if you can. Start simple. Find that fun little core in what you're doing, then move on from there. Keep it simple in the beginning, and it's going to be a lot more fun to you to develop the game. We got a design for the player. Put on that little user hat and ask ourselves, as a user, is this cool? Is this what I want? Or should I do something else? We need to learn the fundamentals, color theory, best practices, what makes the game tick, all of that. Also, consume everything. Read it, listen to it. Don't dismiss casual free-to-play. It makes up like half of the revenue if you look at that together with like PC and console. It's a huge market. And job is better than a no job, of course. But this is the one about experience. Maybe you don't do what you want to do in the beginning, but make you move towards it. Show your passion in everything you do. All the time. And build your network. Talk to us. And it's a team effort. I did say 11, right? We got one more, which is this one. Be awesome, have fun, and stay humble. Because, I mean, one of the reasons why I really love working with games is because of my colleagues. Because people are super awesome, and they're fun to work with, and they're humble. That's what makes it great, and we want everyone to be like this. So, I mean, be the best you can be. And just be cool to each other. Gonna go a long way. I think that's about it, actually. We have, well, if you want to add me to LinkedIn, go ahead. Otherwise, just come and talk to me. I do. Does anyone have questions now? Otherwise, just I'll be around. Come and have a chat.
Hi. Could you go back to the 10 things summary?
That we can do.
For a second.
Yes.
So, if I get to paraphrase this a little bit, the tips sort of go in the direction of make more, learn more, read more, work more, be more social, take more care of the people around you, do all this because you love it.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Sure, but what are the things that you maybe can do less, that you can fit something that is your life still into this? I mean, just be better is, in the end, not necessarily the most applicable or helpful pointers here. What are the things that you maybe can do less, that you maybe shouldn't do? Or do you maybe have stories about people who tried to do all this and then still they failed because of something that we can look out for? Do you have something like that?
That's actually a good question. I mean, yes, this is a lot about what you can add more to and do better. That's what this is. Standing here right now, things to do less of. That's a tricky one, because yeah, as you say, it is hard to fit this into your lives. And I mean, I had a hard time doing this when I studied. I didn't do all of this. I wish I could, but I couldn't. So I would more say try to find what's, I mean, try to figure out what's the best approach for you, what you need to work more on. We can have a chat later on, and I can think a bit more about that. What is something that I think that people could do less of to be able to fit in something else? But I don't have a good answer for that right now.
Thank you.
But let's have a chat about it later on. You know, that was a really good question. So I have one of these for you. Oh, almost. That was a good throw. Almost. Good throw. Wow. Yeah. Do we have anything else? No more difficult questions? Oh, there. Super.
I have a quick one, considering you are calling yourself a Unity developer specifically.
Yeah.
When I've been looking at mid-sized indie studios, or studios in general, so 30 people up, they tend to make a difference between Unity programmer, Unity developer, and game programmer.
Yes.
What difference is there between those three positions?
That's all up to the company, actually. I mean, I know this also from when I was last year looking at different jobs. Everyone calls it something different. Everyone. You kind of need to reach out and ask the company what their definition of this is. Because at MAG, Unity developer is a games programmer. That's what we call it. Someone else might call it something else. So there is no really standard definition of what something is. That is the simple truth there. So, yeah, no. I have one more of these, so you're going to have it.
I had one more question. I'm sure there's lots of people with imposter syndrome and they think they're not good enough when they apply for jobs.
Yeah.
So what kind of skills are you looking for at Mac for, let's say, developers, for example?
Yeah.
When are you good enough to apply, and when should you apply?
When should you apply, and when do you know that you're good enough to apply? I'm going to tell a bit of a story. We're going to have an intern start at MAG in January, and he used to go here a few years back. So he started here for years, and he didn't feel that he knew all the things that he should know before going to actually work. So he went to study something else for 2 years, and then he applied his internship at MAG. And I mean, at that time, when I looked at his code, it's like, yeah, he's better than I am. So when I looked at stuff that he's done, I was like, okay, you were ready 2 years ago. But it is hard to know when you're there. So you kind of just need to try your wings out. And I think that's also people that get into the industry really quick. Part of it is timing, of course, and part of it is that you're a bit lucky, but it's also that you actually you're okay with being a bit vulnerable and just sending it to someone. That's one of the reasons that I'm going to meet like four of you guys today and tomorrow and just discuss Unity developer tests to give you feedback on where you're at. I think the portfolio reviews, that serves the same purpose, to get feedback on where you're at. It is difficult to know when you're ready, but you kind of need to just try it out and ask people for feedback. I mean, if anyone here is like in half a year, you're going to apply for a job or something, you're like, I don't know if I'm ready, and you have like a test or something, I mean, you can send it to me and I can just look at it quickly and we can just have a discussion. I'm totally okay with that. And that's part of the whole networking thing as well. Just helping each other out. But it is scary. So, try it out. Otherwise, reach out. Ask for feedback. And hopefully we can help out. I don't have any more of those, I'm sorry. Do we have anything more? Woo.
Hi. When you're doing kind of like an online like communication over LinkedIn or another source, what's the best way of getting people to connect with you, to start the conversation, or to even just hit that accept button?
Yeah. What is how to get people to actually connect to you on LinkedIn? Yeah. I think that's a kind of a personal thing, but to me, if someone wants to connect to me on LinkedIn, and they should just at least write an hello and like, hey, you look like someone I could talk to in the future about something, or if people actually write a personal note to me on LinkedIn, then I'm gonna press yes. If someone does not, I don't know. Then I kind of look at, is this something that I feel this is someone that I want to work with in the future or something? Then I have to make a choice there. But if someone's cool and like writes to me and like, hey, do you want to just network? Okay, I press yes. That's my approach. And I mean, here, if someone's from Gotland, you studied Gotland and you send me a request on LinkedIn, I'm going to press yes right away. Because, I mean, I've been in your shoes. That's what I wanted people to do. You say yes to that as well. So send them to Lisa as well. But yeah, if you don't know them, just write a little hello and I'm this person. I just want to network a little bit. Perhaps have a coffee if you dare to reach out that much. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Anything more? Many questions. Yeah, 12 more minutes.
I'm wondering how important interdisciplinary knowledge is in the industry. I mean, are we going to be better off just focus on specializing on one thing, or just spend some time, learn something from other disciplines?
Yeah, better if you should specialize on one thing or the thing you want to do, or just spread out a little bit, learn a little bit of everything. I think that depends on where you want to be, where you want to go. Because pretty much all the companies I've been working at has been relatively small in a way, so you kind of have to help out all the time. So, for example, when I was at Mind and Delight, that's a small team. People need to help out with everything. And when I was at Calm Island, in the beginning we were a super small team, so there too. And MAG, we are 80 employees, but we work in small teams, so even there, same thing applies. But if you want to work with the really bigger games, perhaps not. So I think that depends on what your end goal is, what kind of company you want to be at. To me, being able to do a little bit of everything is super important, because that's what I want to do. I don't want to get stuck at doing one thing only. But I know that some people do take pride in that, and that's what they enjoy. Actually, focusing on being super good at one thing. So, figure out. If you want to do smaller teams, definitely worth knowing, like, everything. If you want to work at DICE, I don't know. Haven't worked at DICE. But yeah. Anything else? 1, 2.
Why do you have a studio in Brighton?
Why do you have a studio in Brighton? Yeah. That's a good question. That was before my time. No, but this was, the studio was first only in Stockholm, and then I think we just went in and also acquired a studio there. Because it's good to spread out a little bit in order to get more folks in, because it can be difficult to get everyone to move to Sweden. If you have more studios, then yeah, helps out. Because I think almost half of my colleagues are not from Sweden, so it's a very international company, and it's the industry overall. So it's nice to spread out a little bit. But I don't have any that's why we did it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one in the middle.
Alex, hand it over.
Thank you. I have more of a comment on a previous question about how to limit your work in a sense.
Yeah.
Just to add to it, and I just tried to figure it out myself, and I just came up that you need to view your time and your energy as a finite number, like basically as a HP bar. It's your
in a sense. And you need to understand that there's a limit to that, and you need to prioritize what you need to do, and identify what one of your hours are worth. You need to understand the marketing value of one of your hours, and then make room for yourself so that you can, so that you know how much energy can I put down for the amount of money I want to get, basically, in a sense.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's important about all the advice you have, that you can look at these advice and identify which one of these are you most passionate about. And you can start getting really good at that one.
Yeah.
And from that point on, you can work on looking at the other advice and slowly change your mindset to get more into learning all the lessons from all the people that are really good at this specific thing. And that's my comment.
That's a good comment. You should be up here, not me, apparently. But I definitely agree with you that it's about, we can't do everything all the time. We need to prioritize. And I think that's the kind of start simple, just build up. Find that. But very good comment. I agree with you. Ooh, down there, over there.
Hey, I was just wondering, what is currently the most desired job at MAG Interactive?
I want to say Unity developer. No, I mean, we currently at MAG, we have a lot of, we're looking for so many people, but I think the ones that we have the most of is probably just programmers, either in Unity or like back-end Java programmers, but also artists. And also project owners, and also, yeah. There's a huge demand for people overall. But I can say this, that we do get a lot of applicants for the Unity role, a lot less for the others, but we do have a hard time finding people that are good enough in Unity, actually. Because a lot of people are self-taught and have just made games by themselves for forever. So perhaps they don't have the good best practice, all of that. So there's definitely jobs out there for good Unity programmers that, what should I say? I mean, that are good at it. I think I read like 5, 6, 7 of those every week at the very least from different people. So that's a big one for us. Anything else? There we go.
So for teams here of students that are thinking of launching their own games and starting their own companies, what sort of advice and perspective do you have?
Wow.
For them?
Teams here launching their own studio and games. Oh, I don't even want to get into that, actually. I don't know. That's what I must say. Because I know that people have spent so much time and energy actually getting to that point that I know.
So if you reflect for one of your teams at MAG, because you operate as small teams developing games, what are the sort of tick box things that you then focus a lot on?
To us in our small teams that are, and then it's mostly just the dev teams, I mean the actual games teams. I mean, we focus on getting something playable very fast so we can test it on people. We do research first. We make sure that we have the kind of person we want to focus doing the personas, and then we build it and then we test it. That's the approach we always try to get through. So if you want to do your own thing, just make sure that you're making for the right people. Because if you fall behind the chairs that no one wants your game, then perhaps you should go do another kind of game. I think that would be one thing I would say. Just make sure that you have an actual market for it, for what you're doing. Do you have another comment?
Actually, no. This is a question.
A question.
What do you do with your personas when you have when you made them? In the sense, do you iterate on them or do you leave them as is? What do you do?
On our personas, when we have them, we always iterate on them. I mean, we make them, we print them out on these big papers, we put them on the walls, we can always look at them, and when we find that maybe this doesn't apply anymore, then we try to pivot that a little bit. Just always try to find the right person that we're targeting. So that it is not a static thing from the start. The first one we do is going to be a bit rough. It's not going to be perfect. But we're over time when we develop this over a few months or a year, then we're gonna be able to make it a bit more spot on.
When I make personas, I use an empathy map, and I always feel like when I've made the empathy map that I have made so many assumptions.
Yeah.
And testing all of these, every single person I test with, this is different. So how do I identify, the common nämnarna? What's it called?
Yeah, I mean, trying to. I mean, about trying to find that one fictional person that covers many people. Yeah. That is not easy now. But I mean, that's why we have millions of users on our games, so there's definitely a chunk of people we can take and place into one. So that's why in our case maybe we'd make 3 personas for our game. One that is primary, and then 2 that is we target them, but maybe not that one that's going to play it the most.
Basically extended audience in a sense.
Yeah, I suppose, because it's how to phrase this. Let's go ahead. But it is hard to fit all the players into one persona for sure. But you got to do the best you can. But I do like that you're working with it. That's super. I think everyone should work with personas, or at least know how they work.
I would say that they are very good to identify, the big picture in a sense. But all the details that actually makes it work, you have to get out there and talk to people because.
You need to test it on people.
Yeah, exactly, because personas, they always comes back to bite you in the ass if you don't actually iterate on them. Yeah, but I really like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Grab Daniel afterwards.
Thank you, everyone.